Yeah, I love my DB9. I bought it about 2012, second hand. Had been an ex-demonstrator, so for me, lovely colour, lovely interior and everything. And yeah, it's. I wanted a 7, but I couldn't afford a 7 at the time. So when I finally had the funds, I bought a 9. So yeah, what I like about the car, I love front engine cars with big engines, and as soon as I could afford it, my first sports car was a 928 Porsche, which I still have after 35 years or something. So I had the 928, and then I've had Mustangs and things like that, anything with a big V8 in the front, and then the idea to get a British sports car, which had a big engine in the front. That's what I always wanted. I was never really a Jag fan for some reason, but yeah, the Aston's just my favourite car and love it. Yeah, the Aston's just got real finesse, but my American muscle cars are old cars, so they're like 50 years old. 1965 Mustangs is my thing. So yeah, the Aston is just so refined compared to that. And I often think I actually my day-to-day cars are A5 Audi with the 3-litre engine, so it's a lovely car. And when I get in that, I think I'm in a nice car. And then when I get in the Aston, it's like, wow, I'm in a fighter plane comparatively. So yeah, just everything, the looks, the engine. I didn't really want a V12. I wanted, sorry, a V8. I wanted the V12. When I first bought it, it was okay because everything was sort of all new to me. I had a main dealer up in the Midlands, and it was a good organisation. But I had a few little queries on the car, and they never got solved, which was a bit frustrating. I always had two extremes. I'd get a job list of things that was wrong with it, and yet I was going in and saying, "Oh, by the way, can you secure the front mud flap, please?" And I'd go and pick the car up, and all this other work would be done, and the blooming mud flap wasn't secure. So that always bugged me. But that particular dealership went out of. They lost the franchise, and then it went to another dealer where all the emphasis was just really on the huge glossy showroom. And by that stage, the 11 had come in, and I was interested to buy an 11 actually. I was sort of trying to work things out, and then the car went in for a service, and I'd given them a job to fix, which had been going on for a few years, and that was where the front suspension clonked now and again. And I described it to them. I said, look, it's just like if I jack the car up and the spring hasn't set in the top cap, and then all of a sudden it does. There's a bang. And they never found this. And this, we're talking 3 or 4 years. And this clonk would happen to me sort of like once a month or something. Got annoying. And then the last time I went there, this particular dealer had gone to the really fancy way of relating to customers by sending me a video of the work that needed doing on my car. And I was running my company and really busy, and the last thing I needed was a video on my iPhone of a bloke walking around my car telling me all the faults with it. And I actually didn't, what's worse is I didn't really believe some of them. One, for instance, oh, you need a new battery. And I said, well, it hasn't been on the trickle charger for 6 weeks, and it just started straight away. So no, just leave the battery, I'll deal with that. And then I got told it needed new engine mounts, and I said, why? And they said, oh, a leak in oil. And I said, well, I didn't know engine mounts had oil in them, because I'm a mechanic by trade, so whilst I don't look at my DB9, I do know how to look after cars. And so they sent me a photo, and it had a little trickle down it, looked like a stain, WD-40 stain or something. So I wasn't convinced. I said, no, don't worry about that, leave that. That was $3,500. I said, don't worry about that. So I took my car away, and I felt really disappointed. I felt that there'd just been a huge list of faults assigned to my car, which then went on the record, because I'd asked for a valuation on the car beforehand, given a price, because I was looking at 11. So I thought, well, this is just a big list to devalue my car. And then I decided against the 11, and I was so frustrated with where do I go to have my car looked after that I missed the next service, mainly because I didn't do the mileage. I just wasn't going anywhere with it, just trying to think what to do. Do I sell it at less than 40,000 miles, and what do I do? Anyway, I asked a friend of mine if he could recommend, he's an Aston Martin guy, he used to work for them, who could he recommend? And the name BamfordRose came up, and another dealer, and so I looked up BamfordRose, and it looked pretty good. And then I thought I'd do a cold call just to see what the response was like, and then I booked it in for a full service. This stage it had been 18 months because I'd gone through this period of just not wanting to go back to the main dealer, and bought it in for the full service, and then was just chatting with Mike. Actually, Mike was on the phone talking to a customer who had blown up an engine, and I was listening to this, and afterwards I said, how do you blow up a V12? Because I know they're so under-stressed, and you know, you look after it sort of thing. And he explained about the exhaust modification they do for the DCAT mod. So obviously that just seemed common sense to me. So I had that done on top of a service, bit of paint work. I was getting a bit of corrosion, which, considering my car's garage the whole time, that slightly annoyed me. But anyway, I wanted to get that done. But what I thought I'd do is I'll just get the minimum done, see how good a job they do, and then if I like it, I'll get more done next time. The car came in for the service, and we'd spoken about the exhaust modification, but otherwise I just left it with BamfordRose, and they went through a list, and then it was just a matter of emailing to me and a phone call, and yeah, it all made sense. It was all logical, so I gave the go-ahead to do that work. When they were doing the exhaust mod, they have to get close to the engine mounts anyway. They were checked out. They're hydro mounts, so there was fluid in them. But having said that, the fluid wasn't leaking, and if there'd been any doubt, we obviously would have done it then. I also learnt they were only a few £100 each, and and it wasn't going to be a $3,500 job. But my instinct had told me that when I had this phone call anyway. So yeah, all the work was done. I was talked to by an engineer to another engineer, really. So proper conversation, working anything out. Whereas quite often at the main dealer, yeah, you never spoke to the person who worked on your car, and quite often it was just the girl at reception. So I had absolute confidence. These guys had gone through my car and were going to do a good job. And yeah, I have to say, I just massively impressed with all of that. And then on this clonking suspension thing, that just pretty sure that just came up in a phone call. I just mentioned this symptom, that I've got this clonk, and Mike just said it'd be a broken spring, which I just found amazing because I've never had a broken spring in all my life, and yet that exactly was the symptom. The symptom was a spring misseating. So the spring got fixed, the car got serviced. I could feel a difference in the front end, which as far as I'm concerned was the way it must have been sitting going into a corner occasionally. The exhaust noise is great, with a little mod there. the car's smoother. There's a wheel bearing just starting to go. So yeah, I'm very happy with the car. Yeah, the car coming to BamfordRose, it really has changed it for me as far as me keeping the car, because I was going to sell it. The biggest problem I had is I couldn't think what I wanted to buy. There was nothing that really appealed to me, but yeah, I was just going to sell it, and you know, just because that dealer experience had been unsatisfactory. So now it's flipped the other way, as in, you know, I'm using it throughout the winter. I won't use it when the roads are salty, but I'm not worried about mileage anymore, because it's going to be like my 928 Porsche. I'm just, you know, keep it forever. And you know, I get in the car and I have to suppress a grin every time I drive it. So it's just a real pleasure, and that's made all the difference to me. Just talking back. I actually race historic Formula One cars, so I'm like from the other end of Scar, and that's where I take my Aston goes to all my race meetings. I had an engineering business, and I never ever took my Aston into work, because in that field, if I took an Aston into work, it was seen the wrong way. But in motor racing, you take the Aston motor racing, and that was you know, minimum accepted level, really. But yeah, I race a historic Formula One McLaren. I also race a Can-Am McLaren from the 70s. So you know, they're my passion. And when I go to and from a race meeting in the Aston, it just rounds the day off nicely. Yeah, I'm not a boy racer in the Aston. I love the fact it's understated. I'd never have a mid-engine car. I don't want that. It's just a beautiful big cruiser. That's what I love about it. Yeah, if I want to chuck a car around, then I've got other cars for that. Yeah, going forward with the car, when it's due for its next service, if there's things like, you know, the dampers need changing and that, I'd look at getting the latest version on there, and anything like that. But overall, the car all set up nicely with tracking spot on and everything, that to me is good. But you know, if there's logical upgrades, then yeah, I'd be definitely doing those as well. Yeah, that was actually, I was thinking about that. The 928 experience was similar, because when I first got the 928, 928s were still in production. So you went to your 911 specialist and they knew what a 928 looked like. But as that car got older, got really hard to get good people to work on it. And then unfortunately the last company I had did a poor job. So that was what was also influencing my Aston experience. I thought, I'm going down the same route here. And I desperately didn't want that to happen, which again, why, you know, BamfordRose has been fantastic. But yeah, I've had that experience on other cars, just where gradually, if you don't get great people working on them, you know, you tend to use them less than you'd like, you know. So yeah, it had been the same pattern, unfortunately. So initially I was with Porsche main dealers, and then gradually I went to independents. But I still didn't have an independent as good as what BamfordRose has looked after the Aston. I don't know if I'm old school or whatever, but I'm very uncomfortable with the big glass-fronted showroom where you get met by a young woman offering you a cappuccino or something, and then you just got to sit there and, you know, talk with her, sort of thing. No, I'm uncomfortable with that. I love coming into a workshop where I can see what's going on and talk to people who know about the cars, because I can detect pretty quickly when it's not right. I also have a NASCAR, American Well, I forgot about that one. I certainly did my front engine V8s, but one of my other cars is a American NASCAR. It's 2007. I was involved working for this company in the States, and I got them to build me a road course car. So I just love it. It's got a 5.7 engine. They call it the small block, but it's 775 horse. That's naturally aspirated, and I ran it down at Goodwood last year. So again, that's one of my front engine cars. Bit hard getting in and out of those. You've got to get in and out the window, but I'm grinning from ear to ear when I'm in that car as well.